I want you to imagine, for a moment, that you're Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. Despite not even being 50 yet, you've been one of the most sought-after football minds in the country for the past 2 decades. You've won national titles, set records, and captured the imagination of fans from every corner of the sport. But you've also made some mistakes. You've rubbed a few people the wrong way. There's a sense that maybe you haven't quite lived up to the wonder kid status that was bestowed upon you in your 20s, and maybe that sense sticks with you. Maybe you look at your 3-game losing streak to end the 2022 season and think, this whole coaching thing may not be for me after all. And as you lay your head down to sleep, with thoughts of game planning and social media strategy running feverishly through your head, those doubts about your future join them, growing louder by the minute, like a tailgate in the Grove that's gone out of hand. Actually, you'd think to yourself, that sounds like something you'd probably enjoy, but this is a most unwelcome intrusion into your nightly routine, and it's about to get much worse. Just as you, Coach Kiffin, are about to finally drift off into a peaceful slumber, you hear something. Something strange. Nothing is quite as it should be. It's like you've been thrown into a simulation of what your room would be in an alternate universe, or even a dream. Are you dreaming? No, Coach Kiffin, it's much worse than that. Because as you have begun to descend into self-doubt and are contemplating giving up coaching entirely, the universe has decided to intervene. Ere the night is over, you are to be visited by 3 ghosts, including the one who's been making all that noise. Your bedroom, Coach Kiffin, is suddenly filled with a flash of brilliant light and a sound like a gunshot, and as you come to your senses, you see the figure of a man standing just in front of your door. Who are you? You ask the figure in a daze, scarcely believing that 5 minutes ago, you were trying to figure out how to get past Texas Tech's 335.
I am the ghost of Kiffin's past,
the figure replies in an eerie voice, smiling as he lifts his hood to reveal a face that looks conspicuously like your old head coach, Pete Carroll. Why are you here? You ask the ghost. Shouldn't you be off coaching the Seahawks?
The Seahawks can wait,
the ghost answers.
Plus, we're playing the Chiefs this week, and honestly, I'm okay with sitting that one out.
Fair enough, you reply, but why come here to haunt me tonight? Seems like you would have more important things to do. The ghost chuckles.
Coach Kiffin, after all this time, you still have so much to learn. Here,
he says, taking your arm.
Come with me. I have something to show you.
Suddenly, the pair of you are back in a place you know well, Northern California. This is my old office in Oakland. Why bring me back here? I didn't even have this job for 2 years before I was unceremoniously fired.
That is true,
says the ghost of Kiffin's past.
But I've brought you here all the same. This was the scene of one of your greatest failures.
So that's supposed to make me feel better, or...
Not everything from our past can make us feel better, Coach Kiffin. But that doesn't mean it can't make us better. You got this job when you were 31 years old, the youngest in the history of the NFL at that point. You had pedigree, the support of your colleagues, a burgeoning reputation, and all the wind in the world at your back. But did that mean that you were ready to take on this particular challenge? Not on its own. In this business, we have a tendency to assume that aptitude will cover for any number of insufficiencies in other areas. But that wasn't true then, and it isn't true now. The Raiders were desperately, and unsuccessfully, trying to recapture some of the magic that had gotten them to the Super Bowl a few years before you got there, and were willing to plow right through any and all red flags to hire the person they thought could bring it to them. And so, they looked to the incredible success of the team 400 miles to the south, and the 2 young coordinators who helped them get there.
Wait a second, did you say 2 coordinators?
I did, yes. They offered the job to Steve Sarkisian first.
Wait, they what?
I said they offered the job to...
No, I heard you. So I almost wasn't the youngest head coach in NFL history?
I know, right? Weird to think about that now, but yeah. A real sliding doors moment, that one. Had they hired Steve, you might have stayed at USC a few more years, gotten a job as a college head coach somewhere smaller, maybe even your alma mater, Fresno State, and just had a much healthier rise through the coaching ranks overall. But it wasn't going to be like that, was it, Lane?
Wait a second, I know this place. This is LAX. This is where
you were fired by your athletic director at USC on the tarmac, yes.
Did we just skip the whole Tennessee thing, or...?
Yes, we had to skip Tennessee for time. They can Google it if they want.
I think I would have preferred to skip the firing at the airport thing. This isn't all about you, Lane. It is literally all about me. My name is in the title. Okay, fine. Point taken. So, why are we here again? Because this is kind of one of the worst moments of my life.
We're here to discuss what really happened to you at USC. When you left Tennessee, you said that there was only one job in the country that you would have even considered leaving for.
Yours.
That wasn't how you said it in the press conference, but yes, Southern Cal. After a tumultuous couple of years coaching in Oakland and Knoxville, an elite college football program wanted you to be their head coach. That would be appealing to any young coach, but add in the sentimental factor of it being the place where you'd had so much success as a coordinator and being in your home state, and in a vacuum, that was kind of a no-brainer. But, of course, these things don't happen in a vacuum. Even though you were only there for a year and just barely got your team over 500, people at Tennessee were not happy about you leaving. Like, really not happy about it. And in hindsight, that probably should have been a sign to everyone that you going back to Southern Cal wasn't going to be all sunshine and rainbows. And it wasn't, was it, Coach Kiffin?
No, it wasn't.
The USC you took over in 2010 was not the one you left in 2007. It was only 3 years later, but a lot happened in that time, both to you and the program, including one of the stiffest penalties the NCAA has ever handed out for recruiting violations.
Yeah, whose fault was that, Coach?
I don't really see why that's relevant. And this isn't about me anyway. The video isn't called a Carol.
Kinda wish it was now.
I know, me too. But anyway, in hindsight, I think you can pretty comfortably compare your tenure at USC to something like the one Mike Shula had in Alabama. A legacy coach with a famous father at a major program that was operating within the context of significant NCAA sanctions. And what was the result in both cases? A few moments of promise, but generally a sense of underperformance and a perception that you were more of a transitional coach than a transformational one.
Yeah, those were some hard years, but it wasn't all bad. We had a 10-win season in 2011 and had 2 different 1,000-yard receivers. We were still on probation, and the next couple of years didn't go as well, but it felt like we were at least headed in the right direction, especially considering where we were starting from.
Exactly. Very good, Coach Kiffin. You're getting the idea. That promise you showed early on at USC didn't just go away because of a couple of difficult coaching stops. And come to think of it, each one of those gigs came with varying degrees of mitigating circumstances that would have made them difficult for anyone, let alone a 30-something who was leading a team for the first time, having to figure it all out on the fly.
Yeah, I still got fired twice in 3 years though, and that kinda sucked.
But it was about to get better.
Yeah, can we do the part where I go to Alabama? Because that was fun.
No.
Wait a second, what the?
My time here is coming to an end, Coach Kiffin. I was sent to remind you of the man that you used to be. To hear about the man you are now, you'll need to speak to my colleague.
You look awfully young to be a ghost. Are you gonna do what the other guy did, or?
No, of course not. That was the ghost of Kiffin's past. I am the ghost of Kiffin's present, sent to give you a case study on what you might have become had things gone a little differently. Speaking of which, let's talk about all the young, offensive-minded head coaches that have gotten NFL jobs in the past few years. There's Matt LaFleur, Mike McDaniel, Cliff Kingsbury, and Zach Taylor, just to name a few, and they're all doing pretty well at their respective jobs.
You left out yourself. The whole thing is literally called the Sean McVay effect.
Yeah, but we're talking about you right now, Coach Kiffin. Can we get back to that, please?
Yes, we can. Sorry.
Thank you. Coach Kiffin, in my professional opinion, you were hired by the Raiders about 10 years too early. Had you been a hotshot offensive coordinator in 2017, rather than 2007, you might have even landed a job like mine. The Raiders team you took over was a dumpster fire and wouldn't get anywhere near contending for anything serious again for almost another decade, by which time 5 other guys would have been the head coach of the team. You may not have been the solution in Oakland, Coach Kiffin, but you clearly weren't the only problem either. The organization, more specifically owner Al Davis, pushed to draft DeMarcus Russell first overall, wasting the most valuable building block in the sport before your coaching tenure could even get started. You remember DeMarcus, right, Coach Kiffin?
Unfortunately, yes. Yes, I do.
See, when I got to the Rams, we also had a quarterback who'd been drafted first overall. But my guy wasn't DeMarcus Russell. It was Jared Goff, who, while he isn't a Hall of Fame level talent or anything, is still a 2-time Pro Bowler who's had a very decent NFL career.
What's your point in telling me all this, John? I didn't need you to come haunt me to know that you're really good and that the Rams are a well-run organization. Everybody knows that.
My point, Coach Kiffin, is that there's no reason other than circumstance that it couldn't have been you in my seat. We have a lot in common. You have a famous NFL last name. I have a famous NFL last name. Your first head coaching job was an NFL team in California. My first head coaching job was an NFL team in California. You were the youngest coach in league history at the time of your hiring, and I broke your record. Had you come along at the same time as I did, when teams that weren't crumbling to the ground were trying to hire guys like us all over the place, things could have been so different for you. You might have been put in a much better position to succeed, which, at this level, makes all the difference in the world.
Well, thank you, Coach McVay. That actually makes me feel a lot better. You're a lot more positive than the other guy was. Any chance you want to stick around?
I would, but my team's kind of falling apart right now, so I probably need to get back to LA. Plus, it's almost morning, and there's one more ghost who's got to come see you.
Oh, wonderful. Another one. Wonder what this one's gonna look like. Oh, you're me. Yes, I am. And no, I'm not. I am the ghost of Kiffin's future. But you look like me. Yes, Coach Kiffin, I'm fairly certain the future does look like you. Getting you to realize that is quite literally the entire point of all these hauntings. Oh, well, that's very kind of you to say, but I'm not even sure myself of what my future holds. Maybe I'm not supposed to be the guy people thought I was going to be a long time ago. But you've done so well. The wheels kind of came off there at the end, but you guys got all the way up to number 7 this year. Is that not encouragement enough for you? I mean, it is, but can I not just keep my head down for a while and worry about doing well at Ole Miss? I've had a good thing going here, and I'd kind of like to, keep it going if I can. So you don't want to get back to coaching in an elite program? I mean, maybe, but only if the timing is right, I've already done the thing where I strike while the iron's hot, and it didn't really work out. Honestly, I've kind of started to wonder if any of this is going to work out. Got a lot of baggage, man. Made plenty of mistakes. Maybe I should just quit and go be a TV analyst somewhere. I could be on Twitter as much as I wanted, and nobody would even question it. With all due respect, Coach Kiffin, that is a terrible idea. The internet would not be able to handle that level of access to your thoughts. Yeah, fair enough, I see your point. So what would you have me do, Spirit? What is my future actually going to be like? Because if it's anything like my past, I'm not sure I'm super interested. I'm not sure I can answer that, Coach Kiffin. The future is not set, and because of that, I can't say with any degree of certainty what will be. But I can certainly show you what may be based on what you've done so far, and what you're doing right now. Then by all means, Spirit, lead on. The night is waning fast, and it is precious time to me. Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends, to which, if persevered in, they must lead. But if the courses be departed from, the ends will change. Say it thus with what you show me. Why are you talking like that? Like what? Like that, with the weird words and the voice and stuff. I don't know, man, just kind of seemed like the vibe we were going for with this whole thing. Well, now that you've got that out of your system, can I keep going? Yes, please do. The path that you have traveled on to reach this point need not be the path that you travel going forward, Coach Kiffin. The idea of you ascending to the top of the sport and the idea of you staying president at Ole Miss don't have to be mutually exclusive. In fact, I dare say that the latter will actually make the former all the more likely. It is true that you've had an unconventional career up to this point, one that could basically be split into 2 separate halves and have each of them contain enough narrative to fill an entire lifetime. It would be enough to send lesser coaches and lesser men to an early descent into obscurity, but even considering your various antics and colorful personality, you have proven yourself to be neither. The football world needs you, Coach Kiffin. In the last 60 years, do you know how many 10-win seasons Ole Miss has had? 5. 5 seasons with double-digit victories in over half a century, but you know what? You managed to get them there in 2. 2 11-win seasons in 3 years at Florida Atlantic. Absolutely unheard of, and it never would have happened if you hadn't been there. It hasn't been straightforward, but your career isn't stagnating, Coach Kiffin. It's accelerating. And although you've been coaching at the highest level for the better part of 2 decades now, you're still only 47. You're younger than Nick Saban was when he got to LSU, younger than Brian Kelly was when he got to Notre Dame, and younger than your mentor Pete Carroll was when he got to USC. There's still time for you to do something great, Coach Kiffin. And if you take nothing else from what we've told you, let it be that the path to success is not always a straight line. Your path has been unique, to be sure, but there's still every chance that you're headed for big things. Wow, Spirit, that's one of the nicest things that anyone's ever said to me. Coach Kiffin, are you crying? No, just got some onions cooking. Coach, it's 3 a.m. So what? I'm Lane Kiffin. I'm an eccentric guy. Well, in any case, I've got to go now, Coach. I hope that us coming to haunt you has helped you out. Otherwise, we've kind of wasted all these people's time. It has helped, more than you can know. Okay, back to bed, Coach. Sure thing, but I've got one more question for you, Spirit, before you go. What's that, Coach? Do you really think I can do all that stuff? I do, Coach. It'll be hard, but we all believe that you can be whatever you want to be, as long as you don't do anything overly stupid. Aw, man, how am I supposed to... Hello everyone, and thank you for watching this very special episode. This may be the dumbest thing that I've ever put out into the world, but I'm so proud of it and so glad to be able to share it with you because it took a ton of effort to make. If this is your first time checking out the channel, first of all, let me just say that I promise things aren't normally like this, but I'm still so glad you made it. We make videos about sports psychology and culture, and occasionally they're done in the style of a novella that was written in the 1840s. Going out of town for Christmas, so this will be the last episode of 2022, but I've so enjoyed getting to share the first year of the channel with all of you. Till next year, I'm Will. Happy holidays.